let me just put this on here to make sure it is in focus. This is something that I did. Is it in focus? Yeah. With it being automatic focus on the lens, it will. But I normally have something ready, and it just it goes into focus. So yeah, that was something I did yesterday with the. Someone said it was sanguine, but it wasn't. It was one of these things. If you saw me do it, it was quite a bit longer, which is interesting how much it takes. Normally with, I suppose charcoal is, I end up using quite a bit, but not. I think the reason why was because at some point these are 50-year-olds, so at some point they're being dropped or drummed with, and it's not the the pastel inside it. Anyway, that was a pastel. Conti pastel pencils. You can still get them. So I don't think they're that expensive. But I'm going to go back to the charcoal. So I've got a range of stumps. I've got a range of bits of charcoal from that right through to some quite long pieces, something like that, and a couple in the extenders. So I'm prepared, to say the least. I'm going to draw this guy. I was going to save it for the lesson tonight, but I've got a couple of them lined up, so I'm going to draw him. I attempted to talk about motivation yesterday. Didn't really. More a ramble than an opinion, I suppose. And I didn't bother to. I record everything now, and just in case, the YouTube gods decide that not to look favourably on me, because this hasn't, unfortunately, this hasn't popped up and said, signal strength is too low, which is what it normally does, and then bang, it goes. If you've been watching and you've seen it go, that's what happens. I'd seen somebody this morning done one of these game shows. I think that's probably why I saw it. Not in this country, not in the UK. And looking at his progression, which is like something that I suppose not really. I mean, I don't really look at people's ability so much as a guy that I'm connected with who's got his drawing is not necessarily sort of academic or accurate, or but he has a knack for exploring possibilities, in it, whether or not it's just it's just response, or whether or not it's deliberate. I don't know. I can't tell. There is a little bit deliberate about it. It's a very constructed feel about it. So, but this is what I was looking at. I was looking at the progression of this guy's work. I wouldn't say just drawing, because it's painting as well. And generally, the progression is for most people is just, can we just get better and better at making copies of faces? Can we just learn the techniques? Can we just get better at using oils or whatever? And that's essentially what this guy has done. Sorry, which is fair enough. That's what people set out to do. This is the goal. How accurately can I copy this face? That's the objective. And I think that the for me, that would be a kind of a pointless motivation. It would be too much like this. I want to do it like somebody else kind of thing. And one of the things that I steer away from is that, to be as good as somebody else, to do it like they do it, that kind of thinking. I'm not interested in that. So my motivation is how can I connect and how can I respond? In fact, my motivation is to let my response drive what I'm doing. And I think that kind of thinking is what makes it fresh and always worth doing. This thing about how do you do it every day, without almost every hour of every day. How do you do that and keep that and not get bored with doing it? Well, because I never know what's going to happen. I enjoy the process of doing this, but I never really know how it's going to turn out, because I don't know how I'm going to respond to this face. I don't know whether or not it's going to be a full-on drawing like this, which was, in a way, that was like just going with it. It was, and I could see, and then if you saw me do it, as soon as I sort of went like that with it and smudged the thing, and it started to get that kind of blendy glow about it, it was almost like the trajectory being predetermined. This is where it's going to go. It's going to end up like this. But even so, I'm only looking at what's happening, observing what's happening, and responding accordingly. So I put that bit of charcoal down. I can't remember whether it is. I'll give it this piece. And so that in a way is the sort of the magical mystery tour type of thing. The adrenaline of not knowing whether or not I'm going to be able to capture the essence of this face, all that stuff. And that's the thing. It's this. I'm an addict. That's what it is. I don't want to be disrespectful or anything like that. But yeah, I'm addicted to the adrenaline of doing this and possibly it not working. It's just the same as the guy that jump out of the airplanes or whatever. It's a thrill thing. That's why. And if it's no longer a thrill, I don't get the joy out of it, and it's no longer a thrilling thing, then I'm going to be bored with it. It's going to be just a production. And if I focus on just getting better at painting in a realistic way, then I'm going to get bored with that. Because at some point I will get pretty good at it, I would hope. And then what? Just keep doing the same old thing. You will look at portrait artists, how they plateau. They get really good. There's some great portrait artists out there, but look at their plateau. You want to see portrait artists that do weird and wonderful things. That's what you want to do. You know that they're engaged within it. They're motivated in a different way. Not by how well they can master the anatomy and how well they can use the oil paints. They're motivated by this desire. That's what it is. I think that's what you see in great works. You see people that are more than just craftsmen. But yeah, I'm actually not aware of or I never asked the question, is what motivates me, why I'm not actually aware of it. I just know I want to do it. And I think that's the addiction thing, the addicted to the emotional element of it, the emotional experience of doing this. All right, I'm just fixing a few things. I don't know whether or not how far I'm going to go with this. I don't know. using a small piece of charcoal like this, it's a I've said this before, it kind of has an impact on the way that I make the marks. There was a time when you may have seen it, I did about 7 in a day, and I put it down to the fact that I had a little piece of charcoal like this, and the paper and the charcoal just seemed to be the right combination. Plus the fact that holding it in this way, holding it tight and close, there's a tendency to draw in a different way. It's not like the precision thing, or the lack of it. It's not like the normal. The normal way of doing it. I think also the for me as well is the letting it happen thing is a big thing for me. Not knowing how it's going to turn out, and at the same time, like I said, with that girl in the pastel, accepting it, almost embracing the unknown. I think that's the for me, one of the fundamentals. I think if I knew, if I knew how this is going to work out, if I, engineered everything and what have you, by the time I'd finished doing the engineering, I'd have been bored to death, and not knowing why. It's funny, but I said this about the the mechanical approach before, and I don't know if it's because of the days gone by or whatever, when I used to do that, and it was a chore, if you like. I remember it being almost painful to actually do that level of painstaking calculation or whatever. Because I'm with the watercolors. When I did watercolor illustrations, I remember stretching the paper and then drawing it onto the paper, and then, often destroying it because it didn't work. I hadn't drawn it properly, and it wasn't really about with watercolor, drawing in watercolor. I hadn't got the freedom to draw with watercolor, the sort of sergeant approach. I hadn't got that. I hadn't got enough experience of using watercolor to do that. So it was always an outline that I colored in. So it was that, and I didn't quite get the outline, because the outline is going to be seen in watercolor. This is what was the thing, and it mattered. So if it was going to be seen, it had to be precise and right. And I remember the times when I just wouldn't. Or couldn't accept it for what I'd done. Just terrible things. But I wasn't, I wasn't doing it was a bit lumacy, but I was doing full figures mostly. So these were people in environments. That's what I painted mostly. From photographs that I'd taken back in the day, you didn't have much option, and invariably, because I couldn't afford to use color, I used to do them in, do the photography in black and white and develop my own film and all, usual sort of thing that we used to do back in the day. And the luxury of having this access to unlimited images now, it's just difficult to comprehend. Going back to myself in the 80s, and I'd be, as with so many things, I'd be completely different, I think, in the way that I did this. But the motivation thing is for me is driven by response. I mean, I want to do it. I tell you, I'm kind of addicted to it, and I love doing it, and because I love the outcomes. So I don't see anything as a failure. So I'm not struggling with anything. I'm not wanting to fix anything or develop in a particular way because I've seen somebody else doing it that way. You know, I'm not like that. So, but all that's gone. But sorry, I'm just connected with this for a minute. Let me just. But I can only sustain it if I can develop more in a more exciting way, rather than it being just getting better at making faces, just get it better at being accurate and drawing faces. I've just seen a friend of mine who's a painter, a portrait artist, and execution is his thing. You know, and I think that's a lot of painters. It's the execution that's the thing, and you can normally tell that these people have a kind of not necessarily do it as a in a particular way, but they sustain a kind of a style that, and quite a modern style as well. A lot of them have a kind of a flat, kind of almost grotesque in a way style, but that's they stop there. They stop there. I can't. You know, if you think about great artists, if you think about, say, Picasso, look how he changed. Look how his work changed. I mean, he went from extremes, and you see images of him drawing realistically, although he wasn't that good, but he did draw realistically. I mean, not that good in the light of what others were capable of. I'm not saying I would say he wasn't good, but that's at the time it was there was a standard, and but then completely different. I don't know. You see, the thing is the psychology of his evolution as well. This people think differently, don't they, and arrive at different occasions. They mix with people that probably inspire or the opposite. Inspiration can come from different ways. You know, you can be inspired to do the complete opposite of somebody who thinks talking a lot of rubbish, as I am, but you can also be inspired to do the same as, and agree with, and all the rest of it. So as I say, these people evolve and should evolve, but I think it's to do with the way you think about it. You know, it's not to do with the way you do it. So when I'm playing around with things, and I'm going to show you this thing here. So you've got two extremes, right? You've got this kind of thing, and this is the medium as much as anything else. And I'm trying to show you with this as well. You've got two extremes. You've got that, and then you've got that. So that's just me. And I'm still within the kind of realism thing, but it's a completely different thing. It's completely different, and I'll push that way, and then I'll push back to this way. And funnily enough, that informs that. This is the thing. I think if I didn't have that variety, then I would, that determination, that approach, then I would lose the motivation. It would become too much of a journey towards being able to copy faces in an accurate way, and that's not going to be enough for me. I've got to do more than that. It's got to be a and it's not seat your pants thing, but it's got to be more fulfilling. That's what it's got to be. But having said that, I mean, these people, this guy I was looking at this morning, he's getting the attention. People are looking at him, and he's on the game show and all that kind of thing. So for him, that's success. That's what that is. That's what a lot of artists will deem to be success, to being on the game show, or to be exhibiting in a certain exhibition, to win an award, to have won some kind of accolade. To a lot, that's really all it's about. That's a confirmation that they're good at what they do, which is fine. I have no problem with that at all. I'm just talking about my own drivers, and that's different. People ask me all the time to exhibit. People ask me to buy what I do. I've been approached to, some more work for the game show, but that's never going to happen. It's not. When the guy, my friend, asked me, I said I haven't got the testicular fortitude, but what I really meant was I don't approve. But I couldn't say that to him because obviously he'd done it, and I wouldn't want to insult him. So. If you're watching and it went, it's YouTube. The YouTube gods playing this at the games again. But sorry about that. I don't know how to fix it. We've gone full fiber and all that sort of stuff, but it's just, I think it's just down to the YouTube servers. It's not I can't do much more at this end. Anyway, and of late it's been particularly annoying. It's the reason why I record them, but sort of so that I can just upload the recording. But I have to do that anyway, really, because YouTube's not really interested in the lives. The difference between promoting a live and I've always said this, that I couldn't see why it would promote a live, because a live's a live, isn't it? So, but it doesn't. The numbers are incredible. You get thousands on a video, 1,000 views, and you can get probably a couple hundred on a live. So obviously, when a live's been recorded. So obviously there is a difference. So regarding the motivation thing, for me, it is just about the joy of doing it. The outcome is part of it as well. I think I think outcome in terms of, I didn't expect that to happen. That guy said to me the other week about he always wanted to surprise himself. I like that. So the outcome is important. It's part of this motivation thing, but it's not the initiation, if you know what I mean. It's like a pleasant surprise, a discovery. That's what it is. It's discovering something. But so that in a way is, I start with no perception or expectation of what's going to happen. I just want to draw. I just want to have fun doing this. I'm driven by response. So whatever it is that I'm connecting with determines how I respond. And I just enjoy doing it. I just love doing it. And that, in a way, and then what if it turns out, because of the enjoying doing it and the desire to do it and all the rest of it, you're on a winning wiki anyway, because it's gonna be a lot better. Whatever you do is going to be a lot better if you love it and you're willing to let your soul play. I think that's the thing. If you let your, because that's the thing about, if it's about, oh, I'm going to get really good at painting portraits and they're gonna be photographic and the flesh tone's going to be spot on. If it's all that kind of stuff, you're on a different train to me. That's not that's not the route that I'm taking, and that's good. That's just exactly how it should be. So I don't want to go on that train, because that I know that it would kill me, because I couldn't do it. I could not sustain the interest in that. It has to be, as I said earlier, it has to be an adrenaline filled kind of experience, and the risk element of it. This may not. I don't really care whether it works or not. So the risk is not that great, but the risk of it really working, the possibility of it being something significant. This is what I said this to somebody the other week, and he said that I said that the great thing about being an artist is that you're only moments away from greatness, because you literally are. The next mark that you make may turn this thing into something wonderful. The next mark that you make may create something so significant that it could change your life. I mean, imagine being in that position it's like doing the lottery every time you make work. It's that kind of thing. So imagine being in that position every time and this could be this, and then keep doing that, and every time. But if the reward has to be, oh, you're going to get in an exhibition, or you're going to win a competition, then it's not going to work. So the reward has to be the other things, your enjoyment of doing it, and the actual outcome, if it's something that pleases you. But that's what it is. And when I said this about, great thing about being an artist, you're minutes away from, or moments away from greatness. He said, well, I've been at it 10 minutes and I've seen nothing's happened, he said. So, but the thing about it is, this guy, who, like me, I suppose, had a bit of an illustration background, he is a great artist. It just falls into the trap of what old illustrators do. They start to be more narrative in their execution, and as all illustrators tend to be great artists, illustrative artists. He always succeeds, and he was a cartoonist, I think, at one bit. So there is an element of that. As I said, the narrative thing about what he does. It's far more. It's better than that. He's a great artist, and he's done the game show. Another one of my friends has done the game show, and you think he would sort of fall into that quite easily, but it's a funny thing, the way that they judge those programs. Is it's not good. It gives people the wrong impression of what we do. That's the problem. I shan't go on about it, because I'm not really. I don't want to upset anybody. So back to the motivation. I do it because I love doing it. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It's just such an enjoyable thing to do. But I think the not knowing how it's going to turn out is the key to this. It must turn out perfect would not work for me. I couldn't really do that, because I'd get locked into this, doing it the same every time. I'd also have massive skill development issues, because I'd be locked into that. I'm going to get better at this, I'm going to get better at that, and I don't want to waste my time, as almost said then, of just spending hours drawing eyes and noses and structure and all the rest of it. Somebody and the I think I've done with this now, but I think somebody yesterday wanted to copy this, and so asked if they didn't mind. Of course I don't mind, but But what I really want people to understand is that